What up, y'all? This is Ike with the Mega Academy channel. So I wanted to do a, what's it called? Dang nabbit, I forgot. Um, oh, not a war recap. Oh, an attack risk and like a scouting video. So basically, when you go to attack, I just wanted to, basically do a breakdown of what troops are, have what level of risk and what army comps have, this level of risk. And, when should you, choose to err on the risky side and go for the 3-star, and when should you exercise more caution and get the safe 2-star and still have as much chance to 3-star as possible. So basically the way I view any attack is, this is about my percent chance I'm gonna 3-star. This is the percent chance that I could 1-star. I don't ever go into an attack thinking I'm gonna totally fail and get no stars. But nonetheless, this is the chance that I could get no stars, and then if I don't get the 3-star that I want, this is the chance that I'll, just take the 2-star. So to start, I wanted to go over like what are called Tier 1 troops. Tier 1 troops are troops that more or less they die very easily. A single big bomb will wipe them out. And so those are barbarians, archers, goblins, I believe wall breakers, and I'm not sure wizards. Wizards might be in there. But basically, you look at the barbarian's HP, it's only 110. Same with archer, 44. Wall breakers, goblins, wizards. A single wall breaker, I'm not a wall breaker, a single big bomb, a cannon, an archer tower. Once these things get targeted, they're done. They take maybe 3 or 4 hits from anything, and in a lot of cases even less, maybe 1 or 2 hits, and they'll die. So their inherent, I guess, squishiness, their low HP makes them risky. So you'll look at like a giant. A giant has 940 HP, so it'll take a couple of hits, and now you look at its movement speed is 12. The troops that are generally more bulky and still have some decent movement speed are less risky. So compare the giants who have their 940 HP and 12 movement speed to, let's say, a balloon. The balloon has a little bit more than half of the total HP of the giants, but its movement speed is only 10. So balloons are more fragile than giants and move even slower. That makes balloons inherently, kind of risky. Just, stat-wise of how much damage can they take, and, how quick can they get to the location of where they want to hit. So if you, for instance, if you miss a raid spell on your balloons, and those balloons, let's say, take 3 more seconds than they would have to get to, the next defense that we're going to destroy, that can totally ruin the raid, just because balloons are very slow and, don't really have that much HP. So what I wanted to get into, actually, let's look at witches, and actually dark troops in general, but especially witches. Witches only have 100 HP, and they actually cost a lot of dark. And let's look at their movement speed. Their movement speed is 12, so witches aren't the fastest thing out there. So witches, very similar to Tier 1 troops like archers, the barbarians, wizards. If your witch gets targeted, it's gonna die very easy. So that inherently makes witches a little bit more risky than, let's say, something comparable. Let's say for instance, if you're gonna do go wee wee and use witches versus go wipe. Go wipe is generally safer because of P.E.K.K.A. A P.E.K.K.A has 350 or 3,500 hit points. P.E.K.K.A is not gonna die in a single hit. P.E.K.K.A hits very hard and does a lot of damage, and it has a movement speed of 16. So your P.E.K.K.A is, it's not, I won't say it's fast, but it's not as slow as, let's say, giants, golems. It's not the slowest thing out there. It takes a lot of damage, deals out, just as much damage as it takes, probably. So P.E.K.K.A, very safe troop. Another troop, the next troop, golems. Golems, like P.E.K.K.A, like giants. Golem is the ultimate troop as far as HP. The only thing that has more HP is a lava hound. But as far as, ground attack, your golem is, the ultimate tank. Golem doesn't do much damage, and it doesn't move very fast, but it takes a lot of damage. So you combine something like a golem with P.E.K.K.A.s, with wizards, you can start seeing how that army comp becomes very safe. It's very bulky. Uh, you have the DPS in there with the wizards and the P.E.K.K.A. And the golem for the most part is going to take all the hits and it's not going to die. So you can see why that type of army comp will be very safe, and you can almost always guarantee a 2-star in most cases. So let's move on. I wanted to go for Town Hall 8s, especially with dragons. Dragons, I would say, would be a very safe troop to use. Look at the hit points. They have 2,300, which is pretty high. It can take a lot of hits. Their movement speed is 16, as well as they fly. So dragons, uh, they do seem slow, but their ability to fly over walls, and walls have no effect on dragons. Uh, they do get throughout the base a lot quicker than, let's say, P.E.K.K.A.s and other types of troops that do have to deal with those walls. But even with all of that, the issue with dragon is I think of dragon as literally a flying P.E.K.K.A. The AI on dragons and P.E.K.K.A.s are probably my two least favorite AIs, just because both troops, for whatever reason, Supercell decided to make it so that if there's literally any little building or defense anywhere that can cause the dragons or cause P.E.K.K.A.s to go around the base, they'll, see that thing out of the corner of their eyes, swerve to the left or the right, and go right around the base and say no, no Town Hall, and just totally ruin your attack. So that's the only downfall that I see with dragons, and that's the only thing that I think that makes them risky. If it wasn't for that, if your dragons do go to the center and fly over the base evenly, for the most part, you're going to 2-star or 3-star. And for the most part, same thing with P.E.K.K.A.s. If your P.E.K.K.A.s go into the center of the base and start doing work, you're definitely going to 2-star. It's just getting them there. So let's come out of here. So basically the video is about scouting bases and attack risk. So you can see at the top, let's see there, the Go Wee Wee, the Lava Loon, the Hogs. Those are the, I guess, more or less the three base types of attacks. You have your Go Wee Wee, Go Wipe. Those will both fall in the Go Wee XX variations. You have your Lava Loons. That includes Go Laloons, Lava Loonion. All those variations where you have primarily Lava Hounds and then balloons, and then something else just to aid it. And then you have your attacks that are based on hogs. For instance, you can have a single golem, or maybe even two golems, to get in there and knock out the queen as well as the clan castle, along with heroes, of course. And then the bulk of the rest of your army is hogs. Or let's say you do like a small kill squad where you have like a Goho, you have a golem, a few witches, wizards, and then primarily hogs. Uh, that's the third type of army composition. I'm leaving out dragon type attacks just because that's more Town Hall 8 stuff, and I do want to kind of focus this more towards Town Hall 9, maybe a little Town Hall 10, but definitely Town Hall 9. So you look at as far as the risk factor and safe and kind of insurance and what you should do when you do have a high risk factor. So let's take the Go Wee variants. Go Wee Wee, Go Wipe. Those are definitely your safest attacks. Uh, like I mentioned earlier, your Golem and your P.E.K.K.A., you know, those two troops, they're very bulky. They're going to take lots of hits. The P.E.K.K.A. is going to deal tons of damage. You drop wizards in behind that, and they're going to do tons of damage. Go Wee Wee is a little bit more specific in which base you want to use it on. But if you do find an open layout, once all those skeletons are up, those skeletons will, like the game says, relentlessly distract defenses. Your defense will never touch witches, wizards. Even the golems won't get targeted because if the layout is open enough. But more or less, anyway, they're very safe. As long as you can get your troops to the center of the base, you almost always get the 2-star. And with Go Wipe, I've even seen where you know, the P.E.K.K.A.s and the heroes will just accidentally target something around the base. And so maybe one P.E.K.K.A gets to the center and everything else goes around. And you think, oh, the attack's going to fail. And they'll still 2-star just because that one troop that went into the center was able to take enough hits that it could still knock out the town hall. And then you now have all these other troops going around and getting the 2-star. And I've even seen some people get, lucky 3-stars that way. So go wee wee and go wipe. Definitely when if you see a base and you have no idea of how to attack it and you just want to be safe, use a go wee wee or go wipe, and most likely you'll get the 2-star. Now I want to talking about lava loons and all those variations: lava loonion, go lava loons, pentahound. With these types of attacks, they're the they're risky, but they're not as risky as the next attack strategy with hogs. So the reason being is that balloons will still do splash damage. If you see a base that has a lot of, let's say, anti-go wipe bases where people put all 4 of their Teslas around the town hall, those bases are actually pretty good for lava loons, pentahounds, or any sort of lava loon attack. Just because if you get a raid spell over the town hall and you have a whole bunch of balloons in that area, individually dropping bombs on those Teslas, their splash damage will be more than enough to knock out the town hall, knock out expos, knock out really anything in that center compartment. So with that, their risk is mitigated in that situation. But at the same time, again, if you make any sort of mistake in deployment, and let's say your hound doesn't get targeted. Let's say a hound dies early, or for some reason the defenses are targeting your balloons and not those hounds. Your balloons won't last very long. In addition to how slow they move, the raid can just fail so miserably. Even when you've done tons of planning and you think everything's gonna go perfect, just some small mistake in deployment and the attack can fail. But for the most part, if you do lava loon correctly, you should get it should 3-star if if you do it properly. It has a very high chance of 3-star, much higher than a go wipe or go wee wee. But if you do it correctly and it doesn't 3-star, more often than not, it will still 2-star if you picked the proper base to do it on. Just because those balloons will still do splash damage to whatever's in the center and can still knock out the town hall. So there is some risk factor in that you have to realize those balloons aren't going to target buildings. If you don't have, if you don't bring minions and your heroes were used to kill the CC or something, you really have nothing that is dedicated to knocking out that town hall. And if you don't knock out all the defenses and all your balloons die, and the town hall's still up, then now you're looking at hopefully you'll get a 1-star, and that's not always the funnest situation. But that's the risk of lava loon. Higher chance of 3-star, but also higher chance to 1-star. The 2-star range is probably the smallest range in a lava loon attack. You're gonna see most of the time it's either gonna be 3 or 1. Now, moving on, looking at hogs. Attacks that are based around hogs. So the thing about hogs is hogs are even more risky than balloons. If you look at a hog's stats, hogs, they can take some hits. They're not, they're not super fragile. Except when it comes to big bombs. If you see a big bomb or 2 big bombs and it hits a hog, that hog is done. So that does up their risk factor, but by now we all know of all the ways to, snipe out big bombs. Or, if the base doesn't have any spots where there can be big bombs, then you don't have to worry about that. As long as you keep a heal on the hogs, and there's enough hogs there, they won't die. So what really makes hogs very risky, of course besides double giant bombs, is that they will not target anything until all the defenses are gone. So if you don't take out the CC, if even one wizard doesn't get destroyed and your hogs come out, and you drop your hogs and that one wizard is still there, that one wizard, once your hogs will bunch up on one defense, and that one wizard will do enough splash damage to kill all those hogs. It's happened to me plenty of times, so I urge it strongly. Please always kill the CC if you're using hogs. A single wizard will totally ruin, a hog attack. Uh, and then further, even more than important than the CC, well, not more, but just as important as the CC, is the queen. A single queen, uh, I've gone through just all my attacks with hogs. Hogs used to be my favorite troop, or probably still are my favorite troop. That are balloons. But anyway, using hog attacks, I would use, I think, like 40 hogs, and just because uh, I thought they would sweep through the base. Drop off 40 hogs, and I watched the replay, and literally the queen killed 15 or 16 of the hogs by herself. So when the queen, wipes out nearly half of your hogs, uh, there's really no chance of you even getting a 2 star. I think for those raids where I didn't deal with the queen at all, I don't even know if I got 1 star. I can't remember now. But that is a risk for hogs. So hogs are very risky. Uh, to take it even further, if your hogs do knock out all the defenses, what will happen is your hogs will attack. They'll keep attacking buildings, and they won't kill. Let's say, especially the queen, because the queen stands back and will shoot at the hogs. The hogs AI doesn't tell them to attack the queen. The hogs AI tells them to attack the nearest thing. So if there's a building near to the hog than there is to the queen attacking that hog, even once all the defenses are gone, the hogs will still attack buildings and let the queen just kill them all. So the queen absolutely must die. Same thing with the CC, absolutely must die. The king, not so much. Uh, you'll notice when as your hogs are going around, they'll keep running from defense to defense, and you'll see skeletons and the king. The skeleton traps and the kings will keep, taking away uh, damage from your hogs and killing your hogs until those defenses are gone. Once those defenses are all gone, the hogs will immediately turn around and knock out the skeletons and the king because they're right there. So they're not so much of a problem as long as you have enough hogs left at the end. But definitely, if the queen is alive, I mean, I don't want to say it's impossible to get stars uh, without taking out the queen. But if you don't take out the queen, there's very little hope with hogs. So hogs are probably the riskiest type of thing to base your attack around. Uh, if you do a hog attack and you do it right, it's a thing of beauty. It really will just crush a base, and it's awesome seeing hogs sweep through a base, and then you have like 10 or 15 hogs left at the end, and you finish the entire attack, and there's still a minute and a half left. So hogs very powerful when used on the right base and it works, but very risky in that if you make any mistake, those hogs will either get hit by double giant bombs, they'll get killed by the CC, they'll get killed by the queen. Um, Even if they don't get killed by all those things, they could just take too long to run around the defenses. For instance, you could have the perfect base. You could take out the queen. There could be no double giant bombs, and you could drop all your hogs in one single spot. You never drop all your hogs in one single spot, by the way. But if you did make that sort of mistake and dropped all your hogs in one single spot, they would all target the same defenses. And just from the time it would take for all those hogs to go through all those defenses one by one, you'd run out of time. Or your hogs would get hit by a giant bomb and there'd be a wizard tower somewhere there, and that wizard tower would instantly splash those hogs and kill them all. So, hogs very risky, but when used right, can 3 star. So there I put 0 to 3 because with hogs probably have the highest chance of getting no stars, but they also have a very high chance of 3 starring. Uh, Hogs, you don't really see too many 2 stars with hogs. You'll see a lot of 1 and 3, and sometimes 0. So as far as like insurance, uh, when you do some of these attacks, knowing their risks, you want to definitely take into account when you pre-scout the base. So let's go previous war. So yeah, So when you're looking at the base, you definitely want to, say you want to tailor your attack to that base, and then you want to say, this is what I think will happen, this is what I think could go wrong, and if these things go wrong, then this is what I'll try to do to salvage it and get the 2 star. Kind of hard to do at first. It does take a little bit of time getting used to. Even myself, I still, if things don't go as initially planned, uh, I have a hard time trying to fix it mid attack. It's more when I'm looking at the attack, when I'm looking at the base before I even build my army, that I say, this is what I think will happen, and if things go wrong, then I've already deployed this way, so I'll probably still get a 2 star that way. Uh, I'm okay with getting 2 stars. I really would prefer 3 star. Actually, 2 stars annoy the heck out of me, but I'd always want the 3 star on Town Hall 9. But right now, I can't really to 3 star every Town Hall 10. Hopefully, when I get max heroes, I can start figuring that out. But for now, I gotta take 2 stars, unfortunately. Against Town Hall 9s, I want 3 stars every time. Uh, so looking at this base, I look at it. I see that the clan castle is instantly lurable, so that's a plus. The queen is pretty centralized, so uh, I don't know. I don't know. She's not so in the center that you can't get to her, but she's not so exposed that she's free. It does take something to knock her out. So looking at this, I'd probably want to say, I don't know. So see, looking at this base, right off the bat, I don't see a clear cut. This is what I would do to 3 star this base. You see a base like this, it may just be best to go wipe it. Uh, Now with go wipe is, it's definitely gonna get the 2 star if you do it right. But what you can do is you can add um, somewhere between 4 to 6 balloons, maybe 3 to 6. We'll say 3 to 6 balloons. And what will happen is it'll just increase the chances that you get 3 star. Once those air defenses go down, uh, it makes it easier for the balloons to come in and knock them out. However, you look at this base, and these air defenses are kind of spread out in these 4 quadrants pretty well. So regardless of which side you attack from, chances are you'll only knock out 2 or 3 of the air defenses, and there'll still be one left. So even that, won't necessarily guarantee a 3 star. It only increase the increase in the chance of 3 star is marginal compared to what it would be if those uh, air defenses were more clustered. So this, base design, I say, it's okay. Those cannons are outside, so maybe there is some way you can exploit that. But looking at this one, I would definitely, whatever strategy I picked, I would tailor it to be um, more conservative. Just because this base naturally lends itself to being difficult to 3 star. For instance, even if you were to use a Lava Hound type of attack, you see the base, the only things in the center that the balloons will splash on are these expos. And with that way, there's no chance that if you drop all your balloons that they'll manage to take out the town hall for you. You'd have to get very lucky for all your balloons to hit those expos at the same time and knock out the town hall with splash damage. It might happen, but not something I'd want to risk in an attack. So with this one, I would definitely err on the side of caution with attacking and go for safe versus risk. So looking at this one, the first thing I notice is this clan castle is very easy to lure. 2 giants anywhere on this side will pull out the CC pretty easy. You look at this queen, she's gonna hop over this eventually. You see, she's just hops over. Uh, she's free basically. You drop your king anywhere in this area while she's outside, and that's in a fair trade. Your king will knock her out, and that's, the king will die. That's fine. But the queen is free. So, with this CC being lureable like this, you lure the CC to one side, and then you take out the queen like that, and then you look at the rest of the base. There's no double giant bomb locations. You see here, this is only 3 tiles, so only one will fit. Same all around the base. There can only be single giant bombs all throughout the base. So with that, most likely what I would do is I would just drop my king over on this side to knock out this queen. Well, that'd be second. First, I would lure the CC and have maybe three wizards and something like 20. Let's see, 23. I don't know. I would use more or less 30 to 40 troop space on witches and on not witches. I'm sorry, wizards and archers, and I would pull the CC out. Once I pull the CC over to this side, I would take out the CC, drop my king, and just trade my king for that queen. That sounds like chess. Anyway, trade that. Well, I guess it's not gonna chess. You can't trade your king for the queen in chess. That'd be really bad. Anyway, moving on. Then I would drop my hogs and I would carry four heal spells because hogs with four heal spells, there's no way this base will knock them out, especially with no double giant bombs. So this base, uh, again, hogs, very risky, but because you can knock out this queen, that takes away that risk factor. You can definitely pull the CC out and take that out. The only thing I have to worry about are giant bombs, and there's no double giant bombs. So once the risk is gone, your chances of 3-star in this base are really, really high with just all hogs. Next base. Okay, so looking at this one, so I'm always saying that go wipe is definitely the safest thing to do. You look at this base and look at all these buildings around here. And I guess I can touch on dragons too. But basically, you want to funnel your troops to the center. It's going to be very difficult to try to funnel your troops inside with all these buildings scattered all over the place. If you, let's say you cleared even half of these, if you just missed one single thing and for whatever reason your P.E.K.K.A., your heroes, your dragon, whatever it was, targeted that one thing, it's going to start going around the base and who knows where it's going to end up. So this one's actually risky for a go wipe. The only way I would try to go wipe this is from the bottom. And just go from the bottom and go up. Looking at the rest of the layout, what I would probably do here is looking at these air defenses and the symmetry of this base. I'm assuming most likely Teslas is somewhere here, clustered around the town hall. What would happen is if you brought let's say 4 hounds, 5 hounds, and then balloons, more than likely you could drop your balloons somewhere on this side and this side, or if you want to go from the bottom, this side and this side. But what would happen is they would sleep very evenly over this base, just because it does have that symmetry. You do see that the CC is very easily lurable, so you could easily drop 2 giants on this wall here in this area. And what would happen is you'd pull out the CC, use your king and your queen only your king and your queen to just take out the CC. Once that CC was gone, you could drop your hounds and your balloons, somewhere in these 2 areas. I don't know if you can see. You're just randomly clicking everything, but in these 2 areas. And what happened is hopefully they would fly over, hit these archer towers, these mortars. They'd start targeting all these, and then sweep through the rest of the base. If that was the case, I think it'd be pretty easy to 3-star this base for the most part, just because the defenses do seem pretty compact. And even if you don't get the 3-star, the way this base is set up, if these, as I do suspect, I think that this is made to be an anti-go wipe base, just looking at the way everything is spread around. And usually when you see this kind of space here around the town hall, it's usually 4 Teslas. But if this is what I think it is, and these Teslas do all pop out here, if you got a raid spell in this area, over the center, and then your balloons all got in there, they would still knock out the town hall and get you the 2-star. So I think the lava balloon would be the safest. The risk to reward is worth it in that you'll probably get the 3-star. If you don't, you'll probably get the 2-star, and it's very unlikely that you get the 1-star if you do the attack correctly. Oops, didn't mean to do that. So I'll probably wrap it up with this one, but looking at this base. So unlike the last base, you instantly see that there's not very much in these center compartments. There's only these 2 expos and then maybe this air defense. But if you use balloons on this base, the chance that the balloons are going to get the 2-star for you by taking out the town hall is not high. And with balloons, for the most part, if your balloons fail, your heroes are not going to be able to get to the center of the base. There is a way, if you, for instance, drop your king and you have minions and they clear all the outside stuff, and then you drop your queen very late at the end, sometimes your king can get there. But, it's kind of hard to do and very risky. So don't recommend it, but I wouldn't air attack. An air attack, not that I wouldn't air attack, an air attack on this base would be risky. Now, you look at this base, and if you were to, try to draw a line of symmetry through it, it looks like it is symmetrical, but it just kind of seems like the base twists around awkwardly. And these bases, I don't know why or what it is, but every time I've tried to, kind of hound these types of bases where it looks like it's symmetrical, but kind of twisted in some weird way, it just kind of looks off kilter when you look at it. But anyway, for some reason, the balloons don't flow nicely. They tend to want to go to one side or the other. And so when they don't flow nicely, what happens is some of the balloons get targeted by air defenses as opposed to the hounds getting targeted by them. And so, those balloons die. Eventually, you don't have enough balloons, and so your hounds get targeted for too long, your hounds die, and then you just fail. So I wouldn't want to air this one, and I wouldn't want to hog it either. You look at this, you can definitely lure this CC, so that is a plus, and the queen is not impossible to get. See, the queen is kind of central, but she's not impossible to get to. So we'll call that a plus, even though the queen, I guess it's a soft plus. Some might see that as a negative, because she is kind of difficult to get to, depending on what level your heroes are. But anyway, moving on, you look at all these double giant bomb locations. There are 4 sections in which there can be double giant bombs. And because of that, it just makes it very hard to try to predict and guess where they were. If you don't know where the giant bombs are in this base, running hogs here would be very risky just because double giant bombs will instantly end them. And the queen is not exactly the easiest thing to lure and take out where she is. So we don't want to run hogs here. My advice, just looking at this base, my inclination would be to run a go wipe. I run a go wipe. I know my go wipe is going to 2-star if I run it right. And then what I would do is looking at these air defenses. These 4 air defenses are pretty, clustered towards the center. If you get your queen, your king, and, all your P.E.K.K.A.s and all your go wipe troops, if you get them into the center, more than likely at some point, they'll be able to knock out the 4 air defenses. And if they do knock out all 4 of these air defenses, what happens is, the 4 to 6 balloons that you brought, you can start dropping them around these outside defenses as needed to take out whatever's left. So that's how I'd approach that. Safest option would definitely 2-star with a higher chance of 3-starring than just running, the generic go wipe or go wee whatever. But yeah, that's all I wanted to look at for this one. Yep. Cool. Thanks for watching, and take care.